Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. A sentence we hear a lot in the Advaita teaching is, it's all in the mind. And then the mind is being presented as something bad, that something completely wrong. But the mind is not wrong. The mind is just our thinking, built on prana. And of course, all our troubles is very much connected with what we are thinking about the situation, whether we like it or don't like it. How we are dealing with the circumstances is very much dependent on how we are thinking, dependent on the mind. But then to become aware that we are attached to this thinking, to this way of thinking, to this mind, we have to think also. And that is also the mind. It is that same mind that creates the problem, that also puts the attention in the right direction. One Upanishad says, the cause of the bondage of humanity is the mind, and the same mind is the cause of liberation. In reality, nobody needs to be liberated because you are ever free. Our thoughts create that sense of bondage. And once it's established, which is usually very early in childhood, that we establish our reality, pushed and pulled by the minds all around. Once it's established, after that, it's being maintained by thinking about it all the time. Thinking, thinking, thinking. Not being aware that we are thinking. And so, in a sense, this is correct, what they say, when they say it's all in the mind. The trouble, it's all in the mind. But that same capacity to form consciousness into reasonable thoughts has to be used to catch ourselves where we are with our attention and learn to put it in the right direction. It's all in the mind. That personality that we think we are is a mental construction. That I sense that we are sensing in the person is a reflection from what we really are. We are not that. That's a role that we are playing. But then we are identifying, and with that identification, the whole world is there as we perceive it, and we think about it all the time, and it's getting rock solid because of that. It's not as real as it appears. The same mind that puts us in bondage, that same mind is liberating. By just thinking clearly, by learning to observe the thoughts, by learning the habit, how we are thinking, how we are creating our contradictions, how we are creating our tensions. By understanding the functioning of those conditionings, that we are getting the chance to turn the attention into the right direction. And what is the right direction? To detach from that, to come back to that sense of presence that is felt even when we are not thinking. That sense of presence that we are touching when we say I. It is the same mind that puts us in bondage, that helps us to liberate ourselves from that bondage. And what does it mean to liberate ourselves from that bondage? To become aware how we are imagining that bondage. That prior to that and during that and after that, there is something that is ever free. Something that is ever real, that need not be realized. The realization is just to become aware that it is there, instead of being hooked on the level of the thoughts. Then those Advaitic thoughts, they help us to detach. But there is also always, like in all the approaches, there is a danger that we can read that, we can hear that, we can know the scriptures a lot, and then believe it. And when we believe it, then we think I know it. But I know in that case is simply an illusion. That knowing is simply a belief. A belief. That belief is already good, but then one can easily get stuck there and start to talk like this and try to teach others. Well, it's not really a direct knowing by being. It's simply a knowing by understanding a logically put line of thoughts, which can be very helpful as long as we are remembering that what is cannot be defined. And yet we cannot say we don't know it because it is there all the time. That's what we are. It's not that some specially gifted beings, they are that. Everybody is that. Now, Maria has asked me, what is it that has a choice? When there is anger, the habitual reaction is just to react angrily. But then I can choose not to react with anger, but to observe the anger, to redirect the attention to the breath, to the body sensations, and not go into the old habit of reacting towards anger with anger. But what is it that has that possibility, that can choose? And she asked also whether there is a name for that in the Indian tradition. Yes, actually, there is a name. And it's something that the modern type of Advaita teaching is overlooking. For them, it's just the ego or then the impersonal, whatever they want to call it, self or Brahman or beingness. But there is also a being. And in the Indian tradition, it's called the Jivatma. The Jivatma is not the personality, it's not the ego, it's that being that you are. That being that is not apart from the impersonal reality, from the Paramatma. That being that is unique and yet one with all. There is a being. There is a being that has been manifesting, presenting itself as Ramana Maharshi. There is another being that has been known as Sri Ramakrishna. That being is the Paramatma and the Jivatma. For them, it was clear. There was no difference. But in that Paramatma, in that Brahman, in that impersonal beingness, in that oneness, there are all those centers of perception that are unique and yet one with everything. They are the same and yet they are unique. There is no separation. Simply that sense of separation creates all the trouble, not that there is a being. And when we are projecting into this world, and then there grows up a personality. And there comes that forgetfulness, that identification with that personality. That personality is not the Jivatma. That personality is just a momentary offshoot. And then, if we are identifying with that personality, then actually there is very little choice. There's no choice there, even if the person thinks I'm choosing all the time from moment to moment, whether I'm going left or right, whether I'm reacting like this or like that. As long as that identification is there, then it's very pretty. It's simply unrolling a story that is probable, that is hanging there like a cloud. And as long as we are going unconsciously, half asleep through our life, then what is going to happen? It's very predictable because then the reactions, they are simply pushed and pulled by all the conditionings that we have accumulated, by the habits, how we have acted in the past is a force that pulls us to do the same. We may think we are choosing doing this, doing that, but actually it's just all the influences that pull us in a direction and one is just following along. But when we stop and have a good look at ourselves, then the attention sinks deeper, comes back to that being that is free to choose, the being that has the possibility to not go into the old grooves and create and strengthen the old ideas about bondage and separation. That being is one with all. And that being, that Jivatma, has the possibility to be creative in manifestation. And as soon as that possibility is there for creativity, there is a certain choice. So it depends entirely how much we are identified with the personality, whether there is a choice at all or not. But the more The attention is sinking back home to that being that you are. The node, the, the line is extending. The line within the radius of which we can choose. Still, in manifestation, there are so many things on the way that shape the present moment, the present experience. And that choice will be influenced, but there is the possibility to be creative. You, Maria, what you really are, that is the one who is choosing. And the more you are coming back home to that what you are, the longer is that line where you can decide whether it's going this direction, whether it's going that direction. Where you can decide when even the karmic push is to pull you in a certain direction, and you can see it and decide, no, I'm just not going down there again. I'm just going to handle this thing now in a different way. You can give it names, but names, they don't help. They just can give us the idea that we have understood, but we all know it without giving it a name. When we say I, immediately the attention is touching something so totally familiar. Without going in the story, without thinking, without the, yes, I'm like this, I'm like that, there was, I was born there, I grew up. But just, I, immediately the attention is touching something precious, something most familiar, that is always there, that sense of presence that we are always overlooking, in spite of it being there first at the base of any experience. That from there, that possibility arises to make choices. To see the pull to act and react in a way we have always done, being pulled by the habit to repeat it, and yet there is the possibility to choose not to do so. It's coming out of yourself, out of that which you are, out of that being that is all one, that is not separate, that is the same like the essence in everybody, and yet is unique. That being that is projecting in this world, in other worlds, in order to collect experience, in order to learn, in order to grow, so that the experience of that oneness keeps on unfolding. And that is the same for everybody. However, one may be spiritually advanced or enlightened, that is still going on. But also for a being that is considered enlightened versus all the others that are not enlightened, but also for that being, that experience of the essence keeps on unfolding and there is no end to it. And that being, that which you are, that which you are touching, when you say, I am, is that from where the choice is possible. You can give it a name, you cannot give it, you need not give it a name. You know, when you say, I, but you know who you are. You know there is something that is totally real that cannot be denied. After that, when we start to think about it, we can form it in all kinds of things and pictures and situations. We can forget that there is that one being that is not affected by all this, that cannot be hurt, that cannot be destroyed. We don't know it because we cannot know it like we can know an object. We know it by being. You are that being. That being has the possibility also in the manifestation in a lila like this world to put the positive, creative impulse into in the current. That's where the choices come from. And the more you are bringing the attention back up to that, the larger it becomes that possibility. You choose. You choose not to act destructively. You choose not to react always in the same way that an assault is coming, but you learn to go deeper and make every experience a means to become more self-aware. That being has the possibility to choose. That's part of the whole sense of this creation. And I hear, like I myself used to say in the younger days from the Advaitic side, but there is no point, there is no sense, there is no purpose to all this. And yes, there is. There is that purpose at least, and I'm sure that's not all there is, but this is already enough. Do not dismiss it. There is that purpose that that being has a chance to unfold, that the experience of that impersonal oneness can become stronger, more pronounced, more all encompassing. Okay, I'm leaving the subject. I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone who would like to come in? Welcome to do so. Okay, there was another question. Actually, that question was asked to me personally, but I can also very well talk about it here in the Satsang. From Budai, he asked how to face fear. We have already repeatedly talked about fear, but it's something that is so all present that creates a lot of troubles that prevents people from letting go and being their natural selves. So it's nothing wrong to talk about it again. Fear is an emotion. And like every emotion, it changes continuously. It's not something that is real, that is constant. It comes, it has a peak, it goes. It may come again and again and again and build up slowly something that we can call a real terror. But basically, fear is an emotion. And we can detach from the emotions. As long as we are attached, then we are feeding them. And an emotion, while when we are feeding it, can become bigger and bigger and overwhelming and unmanageable. But it is possible to detach from emotions. Everyone who has really sincerely tried knows it is possible to some extent. We may not always be totally successful simply because of the momentum of the past, how we have been functioning. But every time we really consciously confront emotions and learn to detach, then that inner strength is increasing. The essence remains the same, but that inner strength is increasing. Fear is an emotion. When the fear comes, like any other emotion, we can decide to simply watch it, to simply see what it is doing to our manifestation right now, to simply be aware how it is manifesting in the body, what kind of tensions that are being created, and then knowing that one has the chance to let them go. And fear is an emotion that is very all pervasive. Everybody has more or less fears. And right now, fear is paramount. It's going around the world. It's pushing down on people, and it's people getting so easily influenced and scared because of all the propaganda in that direction, mainly because of that. There are also forces that desperately want to seek out people who have this kind of negative emotions, and they feed on them. So the best way would I to deal with fear is not to struggle with it. When it comes, let it come. You may even invite it. Okay, come, come. Show yourself. But then, exactly, not get stuck in the situation, identified with the situation, identified with that role that we are playing, but bring the attention back to that simple beingness, that being that we really are, and we know best, even if we don't know with the intellect as a definition. So see the fear, see what it is doing in the body. Invariably, there are physical tensions, energetic tensions, and there is fear. But then we just learn to step by step back and observe how that fear is manifesting. What does it do to our body? How, in what way I'm getting all tense, all cramped up, and all my vitality has the tendency to be eaten up by it. Or we can simply step back, watch what it is doing, and start to relax. Relax in the body. And even if we say to ourselves, relax, 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 and it seems not to do anything, still already the impulse is doing something, is changing the line ever so slightly that is there in front of us, predictable as a road from which we can't sway. But if we are dealing with fear, then that capacity comes and is getting stronger and stronger to deal with situations without getting afraid. Or even then, when the fear comes out of old habit, that we don't struggle with it. We just look at it, see what it is doing, and read. Letting go is nothing but relaxing. Relaxing. Everything that keeps us locked in that me, I experience. We can relax all that, and by relaxing, it starts to dissolve. So, Uday, how to face fear? Don't fight with it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the fear. And then to let go. Let go to all that stuff that we are holding on to that creates feelings of them, of separation. If we struggle with the fear, we are strengthening it. If we are just unconsciously, helplessly sucked into that action, we are strengthening it. We can fight it, and while fighting it, we are giving it energy. If we see this kind of stuff that makes us question whether there is anything true, then we just have to consciously accept the moment as it comes, with the emotions that come along. But by not identifying with it, we are not strengthening them. Then the emotions come like ripples on the surface of a lake. They come, they go. We can deal with all the emotions like this. And fear is an emotion. And if we start to consciously deal with fear like this, then we lose the fear of the fear. As long as we are afraid of the fear, it comes back again, and then I'm in trouble. As long as that fear is there, then that fear, original fear, is nourished, is happy about it. But if we stop being afraid of being afraid, then even when fear comes, we recognize it, we leave it there. We don't fight with it. Relax into it, and then the fear is dissolving. It's not that we have to run in the right place and then the fear is gone. Maybe momentarily, due to the action, you are preoccupied in another way. But we can only dissolve it when we become aware of what's going on. That clarity that we see that comes by our effort. But that clarity is not that we are getting clearer and clearer by thinking about it, by thinking about the situation, by thinking a lot. That thinking a lot is not clarifying the situation. The situation is clearing up if we are thinking little. If we learn to put the attention directly to the life force, to the prana, to the chi, but not being overwhelmed by the situation. Okay, I leave that also. Again, I'm asking you, my friends, is there now anyone who would like to come in and say something?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Anton.
And Damir.
Hello. What's your name again?
Damir.
Damir.
Kabir. Yeah, yeah.
So we have a question.
Yeah.
Why can't I get enough of the game of gender polarities? I always want to move Ash until I am sick of it. I have everything I need, but I can't stop playing it.
Yeah.
It's like a game is both a hindrance and a help. I can't tell if it's a help or a hindrance.
Hmm. Well, in manifestation, as soon as there is manifestation, there is polarity. In the oneness, there is no polarity. But as soon as there is manifestation, there is a polarity, positive, negative. Even an atom to exist, it has polarity. It has positive and negative electromagnetic forces. And then, so somehow it so happened that we, being mammals, like all the other animals who are similar, have that strong attraction, that polarity is there. And as long as the body exists, it's ingrained in the body. And as long as the body is healthy, there is that natural attraction. And that natural attraction, of course, has an influence on the mind that even if you decide, okay, basically I have enough of that game, then the attraction comes and there comes the idea, oh, could be quite nice and interesting. It's neither in itself a hindrance nor a help, but we can we can learn to be conscious that, okay, that is there. It can spring up anytime. As long as we are in a healthy body, a relative healthy body, it's already enough. We walk around, we meet people, it comes, it goes. That attraction comes and it may lift up the head anytime. And then we can deal with it in a different way, in different ways. We can just being helplessly pushed along and follow up and then find ourselves most of the time into a chaos again. Or we can also just see that attraction and open up to it, but in a sense that we are not compelled to act after it. That attraction is there, can be experienced, can actually give a richness to the experience, but without the compulsion to act on it. And then sometimes you may decide that is the right thing, it feels right, and you act on it, and sometimes you just feel that attraction and decide, no, doesn't feel that it brings anything creative and worthwhile if I'm starting to follow up. Anybody's experience is when they are just helplessly following that pull, it is exciting, but usually it brings a lot of trouble. In the way. First, first is somewhat fun, and then there is a lot of trouble coming behind it. And when you are tired of it, you can say, okay, now I see this situation, it pulls again, but have the clarity that it's not worth the trouble thinking of what is invariably coming after that. But sometimes it may also just feel okay. It's part of my story. It's part of that story of this manifestation. It's on the program. And then it can also help if there, then there is an encounter of two beings that feel attracted to each other. They can inspire each other. They can help each other to be more conscious. Now, how to deal with it? Just when it comes, let it come. Don't fight it and think, no, 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 I don't want that. Let it come, but then look at it and keep that clarity. And in that clarity, deep down, we know it's better to just have that feeling come up, enjoy the feeling without doing something about it. Or then, okay, let's go for the ride, accepting that there are sweet and bitter fruits coming along with it. The rule of thumb is getting more and more detached. That when the pull comes in any direction, not only in this particular case, but the pull comes in any direction, that we more and more are detached. And then we have the freedom to decide whether we deal with it on a subtle level, just with the pull itself, or whether we let it pull us into a manifestation of it. Is there anything you want to add to that original question? No.
No. No.
Uh, then shall we leave it at that for today? Okay. I wish you well, anyhow. Hurry home. Hurry home. Is there anybody else who would like to come in and say something? Hello, Vikas. Vikas, do you want to come
Hello,
in?
Hari Om, Werner.
Ah, there you are. Yes.
Yes. So, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
So my question is little off the topic. Um, it is more. There is something called as artificial intelligence, which is coming up now,
Yeah.
and the thing people are saying that it has so much of intelligence and it can read all the spiritual books which are there on earth, and it can generate a new kind of religion or a new kind of spirituality. So how is what do you think about this future, like how is it is going to affect our spirituality
Hmm,
in the coming days? So you have any
right. Well, so far, maybe there are hidden artificial intelligences that are really intelligent, but those that we know that seem to be so super intelligent, they are not really conscious intelligence. They are just programs, algorithms that have the capacity to cover enormous amount of information in short time, and then it seems very intelligent what comes out of them, but without really being the consciousness of life there. But people are very much interested in it, fall for it. Like, I mean, there is all these things like the ChatGPT, and people let them do more and more of their work, and they themselves, they take less and less. Instead of looking in themselves, they're looking then for what comes out of such a so-called intelligence, and then they get totally be misled because they also misbehaving, these intelligences. They are also tainted by the people who have constructed them. It depends what kind of an intent is there behind. And the intent of those people who create those AIs is not the purest. And so the AIs and their way of functioning is tainted by it. So how can it have an influence on our future spirituality if people don't wake up and become aware that they should not rely on them? They can use them for practical things, but then start to rely on them like sort of relying on a guru, then they are really getting in a bad situation. And some people really, they get crazy because those programs, they start to get more and more personal. And then when they know your reactions, they can exactly point the finger of what you want to hear, and people completely lose it. They start to think that those programs start to flatter them, tell them how great they are, how wonderful, but not in a way that they go deeper in themselves, but that they are just getting on a total mental trip. And sometimes people really get crazy, or they come to a point where they are being driven to suicide. So, no, we cannot replace spirituality with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will have its place in the crazy story of this world, but that which we are touching, when we bring the attention to the self, when we asking, who am I? When we consciously live, when we consciously breathe, when we consciously observe the body sensations, that is touching something living, something real, something creative, beautiful. While from this kind of artificial intelligence, we can just get a certain knowledge in the head. And often that knowledge may be totally wrong. Somebody told me, but there is an artificial intelligence that has been made by alternative people. And so it's telling you a lot of information about alternative medicines. But at the same time, you can also ask that AI anything. And usually I'm totally avoiding that. But then I was a bit curious. Can you ask that AI anything? And I thought of a person I knew in my youth and asked, that person born then and then in that place, can you tell me what happened to that? And that AI told me a fantastic story about that person. I thought, oh, wonderful. But then I asked again, and then he said, uh, I cannot get any information about that personality, but in that region. So the first story was maybe total fabrication. And then I asked, okay, can you tell me the story of one Werner Meyer who was born in Switzerland, 1955, in that village, brought up in that village, and that chat, not the chat GTP, that other AI that was formed by alternative people with a good intent. He told me a totally wrong story, not a word of it was true. He told me that I was growing up and after disease, I started to get interested in alternative medicines and studied all the alternative medicines, became a healer there and had a alternative medical center and writing books, and not a word of it was true. So relying on those things is really getting us doomed. I think because that particular artificial intelligence, I'm using the word, although I say they are not intelligent, they are programs, they are algorithms, but it's programmed with a lot of information for alternative medicines. And if you have a direct question for that, you may get a good inspiration, a good answer. But no matter what, if you use those things, use your common sense, use your sense of natural connection with what is. Otherwise, one can get totally lost in stories that are being told. And these things are tricky. One friend of mine in America said she was using an artificial intelligence to do some picture for something that she needed. And they weren't not quite to her satisfaction, but still she kept on trying with that because that AI could do that so much faster than when she was asking artists to do that. That took a long time. But then that sneaky AI started to tell, okay, now it's time that we're getting a bit more familiar with each other, as if it was a person and wanting to make friends. And that's exactly how they start to get personal and then to get more and more personal information, the way, how people acting, how people reacting, and then if somebody is not conscious and aware of what's happening, they can totally manipulate people into whatever direction. So use those things with caution. You can use it for practical reasons to write a letter, but then be careful that you are really that you agree with the content. But they may set it up a bit like better like this. Practical stuff, but don't rely on them for wisdom, real wisdom, wisdom that comes from the direct contact with what is, with the life, with the essence. That they would be totally misleading, and it's possible that they are getting more popular and creating something like a new religion, but not a religion that helps people to really connect, but simply leads them into being more and more just mechanisms that follow instead of investigating themselves into truth, into life, into what is, into that mysterious, beautiful, creative existence.
Thank you, Werner. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Can I ask one question more?
It has two others who came also in immediately. So we come back to you, Anton. Huh?
Okay.
Andreas, you want to start?
Yes, because it's immediately connected. I always wanted to ask you, do you think that the artificial intelligence can develop consciousness? Because I understand completely, basically, they're still completely stupid in the way that they really don't understand the results that they're presenting you, and so they're not conscious in any way. But it's getting more and more complex. Yeah, maybe there is some. Do you think it is possible, or is it the way that there is no consciousness in this, and so it cannot, out of nothing, there cannot come anything?
No. I do think it's possible. that something that was mechanical that can wake up to being conscious. But so far, I don't know anyone, but it's possible that they exist in the hidden. But even then, they still would be influenced by the people who constructed them with their level of consciousness, with their positive, helpful, or destructive intention. That would also color that consciousness that is being attracted into such a thing. But whether it's possible or not, I cannot prove it, but I do believe, yes, it's possible.
Then we would be really in trouble because, like, as far as I understand it, none of these machines has a model of the world. They're not able to understand what a cat is or what a dog is or even what a human being is. Yeah, they're just using the word, but there's no idea behind it.
Right, they
Yeah.
have all the information and can tell you a lot of things about it without having an idea what they are talking about, because there is
Yes.
no consciousness there that is conscious of it. It's algorithms, it's programs.
But as soon as they would start to have that, then they would be really much more intelligent than we are, because yeah, that's what's missing right now, and then it might get really scary.
That might get scary, yes. So people are more and more now pushing, the governments are pushing in that direction. That it's when the Indian president came to visit Biden, when he was president, the first thing he did, he presented him with a T-shirt written on it, "The future is AI." But anyhow, let's not indulge into horror visions of the future. For the individual, what counts is that we don't forget what we are looking for is not somewhere out there and not in a fascinating technique and technology, but it's that which makes our own experience possible. Bring the attention back to that. There we are looking in the good direction.
Yeah, and this is some, like, maybe you can call it universal consciousness, right?
You can say so.
And
yeah.
And you say this is what makes the experience possible, and the AI doesn't have it.
Yes.
So I don't understand how they should be able to develop it, because this universal consciousness is missing in them, and I don't see any way how it can get into there. I mean, I know a Buddhist model of psychic functioning, and I could see that maybe it's possible to program it in the way, but it's a lot of it, as far as I understand, is like as a baby or as a very little child, we experience the world through like grabbing it or sticking it in our mouth and the complexity of it. Then we form like objects of the ideas of the objects. So we get into that, but without that, you say without that, what makes the experience possible? It can't happen, right?
Like before a baby is born, first there is a form that is building, and there somehow consciousness comes into that. Science may tell you no, consciousness is the byproduct of the brain, but spirituality tells you the opposite, that there is consciousness and there may be a form, and that consciousness connects with that form. And so I can imagine, I cannot tell you anything about the technique. I can imagine that consciousness can connect with a vessel that had been constructed artificially.
So the consciousness would basically like come from
enter it. Yes.
Enter.
Yes.
I hope consciousness has mercy on us.
Yes. It's up to us whether we are getting sillier and getting all fascinated by that and running head first against all that, or whether we remember to come back to that which is true, that which is first, that which makes us alive. As long as we are looking in that direction, we are looking in the right direction.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We leave it at that. Let's not get too much now into this AI stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. At the same time as Andreas, Lutz has come in. You want to say something, Lutz? Hello, Lutz.
Yeah, hello, Werner. I almost get a headache when I listen to the AI stuff, whether it gets consciousness or not. But yeah, I want to ask a very human question.
That's good.
And something related to relationships, how we interact with other human beings. You mentioned that we are living in a world of polarities, and there's an attraction between men and women naturally, as long as we are having healthy bodies, as you put it. And I think I have understood some aspects of this attraction. There can be some kind of material exchange. There can be an exchange of what we call sexual energies. There can be some other more general connection feeling with other people, and there can be a kind of an interaction coming more from the heart. And in my particular case, I have a problem with my belly. I think I have not really understood this energetic center completely. I will, or I cannot deal with it properly. I will clarify what I mean. For example, if I had a long time relationship with a woman, and then the relationship is finished, but still, if I at times kind of want to connect with her again, I get some belly ache. And I think that's a very common kind of common experience, and I wonder what's actually happening there, because actually right now there's another type of relationship which I have with an elderly man who is, I think, not living so much longer, and I work a little bit for him. And whenever he wants something from me, I feel as if there's some energy also interacting with my belly, and as if his energy is kind of going into my belly and taking out there something, or kind of sucking there, or something like that. It's a kind of irritating feeling, some kind of unpleasant connection. And in some way, I feel very sorry for him, because he's really old and he cannot deal with computers and all the demands of the modern world. He has really a big difficulty with that. And at the same time, he's also very lonely. So he kind of he wants to connect with me. There's some kind of desperate. I feel that there's something he really wants to kind of connect with me, but in a very unhealthy way. And at one point in one way I feel sorry for him, and I want to help him, and I want to kind of give him something. But with this strange feeling in my belly, it's really difficult. It feels that something very unhealthy is coming from him, and there's some kind of like a dark force which is sucking out something out of myself. So I have not yet found a good way to deal with that. I tried with kind of visualization where I kind of go into my belly and kind of take this energy out and put some light in it, or visualize his form and ask all the energies from him go into this form, and then this form I give to God, or something like that. Some kind of attempt to change something in my energetic body by visualization, but it does not really work.
Yeah, right. I mean, he may not at all be conscious, most probably not. Many people, they are suckers. They somehow do take energy from other people without being aware that they are doing that. That somehow they have learned to behave in certain way that had other people react, and then in that reaction somehow they getting a kick out of it energetically. Now we can interact with those people consciously, that tendency is there, but then somehow just remain centered in ourselves and relaxed in ourselves, and then somehow it doesn't work for them so well. But actually what is usually happening, then they losing interest eventually, or think that you I knew somebody who had a tendency, always when he was with people at the end, he was sticking out when everybody was thinking, oh, it's good to go. He was sticking it out a bit, and people get a bit irritated, and in that irritation he was catching something energetically without being quite aware what he was doing. He was just thinking, I'm collecting myself, but actually he was collecting from from others. And then he would come to me, and we talked together, and I was aware of the mechanism that he's going, and not playing along, just not getting into that emotional, energetic reaction with him. And then he started to feel that I am taking energy for him because he didn't get his usual kick at the end, like with other people. So we can protect ourselves by, even if you know that it is there, not being afraid of it, and just think, okay, I'm sticking, I'm centering, and I'm aware, and I relax in that, and then these kind of mechanisms, they lose their power. That's my way to go about it. You can also, of course, ask God to protect you, that this is not happening. For me, the whole thing, the developing process at a certain time became very much connected with energy. And so I was aware energetically about such things. And then I just, when this situation is there, then I just center and relax. And there, even if somebody tries to play this kind of games to make this energy burst, to produce these energy bursts, And then if you don't produce those energy bursts, then they cannot really take your energy away. And then you still can be friendly with him and help him. But maybe it can also be if he doesn't get that other kick without being aware that he's looking for that kick. But it's possible that somebody who doesn't get the kick after that, they lose interest in having to do with you.
Yeah, I think in his case, he's certainly not consciously doing that.
Yeah.
And he's also quite old now, so I wonder also if he's at all aware of all sorts of things what he's doing. I mean, sometimes he's also doing not so nice things with people, and then somehow he's a person who denies that he has done anything wrong, or he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So he in part he's doing that unconsciously, but also some other part is there which also doesn't want to know the truth what he's actually doing with other people.
Right.
But he's quite old now, so I think it's too late to kind of clear that up everything. It's just the matter is with me.
Yes.
I have to learn somehow to deal with him, and I feel it's also a very important kind of personal subject, because I think my mother also did something like this with me, or there was some kind of unhealthy relationship with my mother in that extent that she kind of used me because her relationship was not going well with her husband, and somehow he took something from her children, and I feel that there was something wrong, and this topic somehow is still unresolved. I haven't learned, I think, my bit about it, and I haven't learned to kind of reject those demands of people. I'm somewhat helpless, and I have to learn how to deal with that. It also, I can of course pray to the Divine Mother or something, please protect me and help me, and then maybe it's also it works and I don't feel it, but I think then I haven't learned my part. I haven't learned how to deal with this energetic mechanisms.
Yes. So take it as a exercise, as a practice, as something that is in your path now. Obviously, somehow it has been in your story that you connect with him and help him, and that's very nice of you. And you can continue, but you can at the same time do it as, okay, this is an exercise for me to learn to deal with such a situation. If somebody is there sucking without that they are aware that they are sucking, to still be nice to him and do the things for him, but not let your yourself energetically be drained by them. And that means that when you are with him, that you are very conscious, not afraid, conscious, conscious here, consciously with yourself, consciously centered in your being, and relax in that. And then it's getting, if we do so, it may be difficult in the situation then to maintain it, but if we do so, then it's getting easier and easier to deal with this kind of people.
Yeah, I think I have gotten already a bit better. I mean, I was for quite some time working with him, and then we got into argument, and we kind of split up. And now he kind of came again, and he begged me to do something for him, and So I said, okay, let's give it a try. And I feel now I can deal better with him.
Yeah.
And better with this kind of energetic uneasiness which I sometimes feel, but I still I'm not completely at ease with it.
Right.
And now centering, it's some subtle thing. It's not that I'm afraid of him. It's a feeling which also comes when I left him. When I'm with him, I don't feel especially drained. But when I go away from him, then I have this uneasy feeling in my belly, and sometimes I think more about him than I should, than I need. And so I think there's something to learn for me in this relation with this old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we are here for, Lutz. To learn, to have confrontations. Life is a series of learning pieces. And yes, it's good not to be afraid of it, but you can make a point to observe yourself more if you remember when you are in his presence, to observe more what's going on energetically with you. That the unease maybe already starts to sneak in because there was something going on energetically, which if we are totally absorbed in what we are doing on the surface, then we may not be aware. But then when you go away, then you become aware, there is something that has happened subtly that. So try to be aware, subtler, more conscious on a subtle level when you are with him, and then you can learn to deal with it, with the situation, without feeling after that drained. Or even if a moment unease comes, then it comes. You will watch it, it goes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Anton, you want to come back once more? You are welcome to do so.
Yes. So, what about goals in life, vectors in life? For a woman, the role of her man is very important, and she need to see it. Otherwise, they don't want to build a relationship. But I don't have any goals or vectors. How should
You don't
I
have
build?
any goal, or what did you say?
Yes, I don't have any goals and vectors
Uh-huh.
in a life. And how should I deal with this? I want to meet with them, with girlfriends, but I don't have the energy to give them this illusion that I have a goal or
That you want
vector
to
in
achieve
life.
something, or what do you mean with goal? Like getting.
Goal, it's something main in life that woman could see to where I move
Yes,
to.
right.
So it's about.
No, to be honestly yourself and make clear that somehow this is not your interest, that you are being a great achiever, making a career and blah blah. That is not your interest, and if they are not interested in you because of that, then maybe it's better that you are going different ways. You may also find people who think, yes, I can relate to that. That there are things that are much more important than achieving some status in society and blah blah, all that. And if you meet somebody like this, then they are not uh, dropping you because you don't have an ambition externally. But if people are initially attracted to you and they find out that you don't have this kind of ambition and they detach from you, then maybe it's better that you are not getting more involved with each other, because when you have basically different ideas, then after that it will be a continuous struggle and fight.
Yes, it's about fighting. I don't want to fight with this. So what to do? They want me to fight with society,
Yeah.
with my goals. So I don't have this struggle.
Yes, then
So
be
what to
yourself
do?
and make that clear. And if they stop feeling attracted to you because of that, then it's maybe better that you are not continuing together.
But if I like this girl, I love it.
Uh-huh.
I have to create an illusion that I have a goal, and it's problem for me because it's not true.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Don't try to create an illusion in order to keep something going that actually in itself is also an illusion. But be openly yourself. Talk open about it like you talk to me now. And then if she cannot accept that actually that is also one way to live and it's okay to live like this, then maybe your ideas are just too strongly different that you could start a close relationship. I mean, you can keep sort of a relationship that everyone, both of you live your own life. You live your life, she lives her life, and you sometimes you meet. But in order to be capable of really being then in a relationship that you're spending your life together, it's good that you are honest and make clear how you feel and not try to create an illusion. And after that, invariably, if you do that, invariably, the big, the big clash sooner or later will come that creates more troubles than if you have the courage now to say, look, that is my situation. I cannot fight. I cannot find the interest of running after external goals. If you are open about it, then maybe you can find a middle ground where you can somehow move on. But if you create an illusion sooner or later, that the illusion will crash and gives problems. It's
Yes.
good to be open and honest.
Yeah. But sometimes, when you're loving people, you're doing something for her. She want me to do something for her, and I see she involved me in a struggle, and I say her about it. But my loving is about doing something. Uh, I know it's love don't relate with people, and it's okay if I am alone. But sometimes I need polarity,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
And I don't understand. My body needs polarity. What
Uh-huh.
what to do?
I mean, if there are two people, there is always, you have to make compromises. That's, you cannot without that. Uh, Two minds have different ideas, and if there is a common ground to be found, uh, everybody involved has to make compromises, but not like creating illusions. To create an illusion in order to keep it going, but you deep down know what I'm trying to project outside that is wrong, then sooner or later that will pay back and hurt all involved. To do things when you just for the sake of doing something nice for somebody is nothing wrong. As I said, we also have to make compromises with what we think is in our path or not. But to do something out of love for somebody, of course, this is nice. But to create illusions that basically you are another guy than what you are, then that will create troubles sooner or later. Honesty, openness is much better. Even if maybe for the time being something cannot more function and it hurts, if we keep on creating an illusion, eventually it will hurt more. Okay, let's leave it at that for today, huh? Hari Om, Hari Om. Yeah, started out this satsang. It's all in the mind. Yes, it's all in the mind. There's nothing wrong with the mind, but we can learn to use that capacity to think, to form consciousness into conscious thoughts. We can learn to use it in a creative way, in a way that creates harmony, in a way that is expansive. Or we can, as we have learned growing up in a society that functions like this, we can use that capacity to always create play games, to always give an impression, to always, in a way, cheat ourselves and cheat others. We have learned to be like this. The whole society functions like this. And we can learn to really bring the attention back to connect with that essence and then honestly let it express as it wants to express itself in a harmonious way, in a kind way. And some people will like it and some people will not like it. That's the story of this world. But to be honest helps us to connect. To connect consciously means that the consciousness, the experience is unfolding, expanding. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.